Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Bowen, and I'm really excited to be with you today to talk about using data and audience research to guide your product strategy. I'm a lead product manager for McClatchy, which owns 30 local news organizations across the United States. Early in my career, however, I never imagined I'd have a role in leading product strategy. I began my career as a local news reporter, but as I began to spend more time on audience strategy and engagement, my career shifted from analyzing audience trends to creating audience development strategies to managing strategies for news products. The thread throughout my career, it's been product thinking and embracing product thinking in all that I do. So by now you've heard from Emma and Becca about some key pieces of product thinking processes: ideation, goal setting, prioritization. I'm going to spend some time now talking about the very important role of data and how you can use data to drive decisions from your role in your newsroom. We'll also talk about getting to know your audiences and their needs through audience research, and how to take advantage of testing and measuring results to meet both your audience's needs and your business needs. So let's dive in. Think about a time when you've wanted to push a project forward or receive funding for resources for an idea you've had for your company. Data is always the key. As product thinkers, we need data to inform our decisions, to help us spot trends, challenges, or opportunities to act upon, and to build a case to prove the benefit of a project. Data is key to getting buy-in from executives and other stakeholders, and it's a key for learning how to effectively meet your audience's needs and for measuring the results of a project. But when you think about data analysis, what comes to mind? Numbers in a spreadsheet, metrics on Chartbeat, Parsely, or any other Google Analytics tool that your newsroom uses? It's all of that and so much more. For this part of the course, I'm going to use an example project to help guide us through steps in using data. We'll use something common to some newsrooms. Let's say we have a strategy to increase subscriptions to our product. And one goal that we've identified is to increase the number of times someone visits our website during a month, because we think that frequency of visits leads to people deciding to pay for our news. So let's say our goal is to increase visit frequency per visitor to our site. Let's start with that goal. What's missing here? What are you trying to achieve? We did not define a metric, and there's nothing set to measure. So I like to use the approach of SMART goals. That's a goal that's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. You heard some about this approach in Becca's talk earlier. Sometimes different words are used to represent the letters in SMART goals, but the concept is usually the same. It's a goal that is measured and achieved over a specific time frame. So for this example, how do you identify what the goal should even be? By how much should we increase visit frequency? I like to try writing out a sentence that explains what we're trying to achieve so that you can go about figuring out how to measure whether you're succeeding. Here's an example. Let's say the narrative of what we're trying to accomplish is, I want to increase the frequency of visitors to my website because we found that frequency is tied to a person's willingness to subscribe to your publication. Let's add in the measurable aspect. You'll want to arrive at a metric for this goal so you know what to measure. Depending on the analytics platform you use for your site, you can analyze your current rate and identify a goal to shoot for. Let's say we are currently at 2.5 visits per visitor. What should we aim for? There are several ways to figure this out, but for the purpose of this exercise, let's say that we know that people who tend to subscribe to our websites and our products are visiting us on an average of 3.5 times over a month. So let's set 3.5 visits per visitor as our goal. And let's say we want to achieve this after accomplishing 3 months of tactics. Our SMART goal becomes something like this. Within 3 months, I will increase the monthly average visits per visitor from 2.5 to 3.5 visits, because increasing visit frequency will lead to an increase in people paying for a subscription to my publication. It's not perfect, but you get the point. It's a goal that we can measure with data and one that we can prove our case for a project. Now let's talk about how we can use data to check our progress toward this goal. You've identified a strategy and the tactics to meet the strategy. You'll then want to identify KPIs, or key performance indicators, that let you know you're succeeding in reaching your goal. Sometimes KPIs and goals are used interchangeably, but think of it this way. Your goal is your outcome, what you're trying to achieve. Your KPI is a metric that lets you know how well you're doing in working toward that goal. Here's an example related to our exercise goal of increasing monthly average visits per visitor. Let's say one of our tactics is to create a new email newsletter so that people will visit our site more frequently after signing up. If you see an increase in clicks from your newsletter, you can consider that a key performance indicator. Your newsletter is sending more people to your site more frequently, which is helping you achieve your goal. So now that we have that down, let's take a step back. Let's take an inventory of all of the types of data that you have at your disposal to set both goals and KPIs. The most common source of data that we typically think about is the analytics platform we use for our websites. If you're in a newsroom, you likely use Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, which used to be called Omniture. Most organizations use these platforms or one very similar to measure the activity of websites, mobile apps, and other digital products. Get to know the ins and outs of these platforms. Google Analytics, for example, offers free tutorials and other training online. There are other sites that do this as well. If you're a beginner with data analysis or just unsure where to start, I first recommend taking an inventory of all of the data sources your organization uses, both in and out of the newsroom. This also helps ensure you're being holistic in your data analysis and connecting the dots from user behavior to, say, revenue patterns. It's helpful if you break down the various types of data in this way. First, your product analytics. These include analytics for your websites or other digital products. Your platforms like Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, your real-time dashboards if you use a real-time tool like Chartbeat or Parsley. And I would include things like email newsletter data, any other kind of data that tells you about the performance of your digital products. Next, we have third-party platform data. So think about your social media analytics or standalone platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Apple News. Then we have revenue data, subscriptions, advertising, donations. It depends on your business model. Get to know your colleagues in your revenue department and learn how they're measuring success and what matters to them. Get to know the metrics that they use and how you can use those for your own purposes. 4, qualitative data. These are surveys, user testing, focus groups. Qualitative data is data about your audiences that you typically can't measure through your analytics platform. We'll talk some more about this in the next video. And finally, experiment data. If you're doing A/B testing or any other type of testing on your digital products, you'll want to understand how that is being done and how you can use that data to connect to your product strategy. So you'll need to use data from all of these categories and more to ensure you're connecting metrics to your overall strategy. For instance, for our example goal of increasing visit frequency, we would also need to understand how that goal ties into our overall strategy of growing subscriptions and how we can use additional KPIs found in other sets of data, like our subscriptions or advertising data. In the next video, we're going to dive into more about qualitative data so you can learn how to understand the motivations of your audiences and act on them.